Hey there, everyone. I wanted to share an experience that I had today, and I learned a lot from it, and I wanted to share with you some of the lessons that I learned. So, I'm in training right now with the FuDog team. A number of the team, we are on this online training for 2 days. It's an intense training. I'm in it from 6:30 in the morning to 9:30 at night, yesterday and today. And what I've noticed is that some of the attendees including the FuDog team, are diving in with both feet, just jumping right in and doing the work. Whenever there's an exercise or an activity, we're jumping in, we're doing it, we're pushing real hard to get all the way through whatever the exercise or the worksheet is that we need to work on. But some of the attendees, not in the FuDog team, are only kind of dipping their toe into the work. They're doing a little bit, but they're not pushing through to actually do the full work. They're not digging in. And you can tell when we come to review the work with everyone on the Zoom call, you can tell who's done the work and who is learning it and getting it, and who is only doing the bare minimum. And it made me realize that a lot of people are only doing the bare minimum in their work and in their life. They're not jumping in with both feet. They're not diving in and doing everything they possibly can. They're only doing the bare minimum. And what I think is really happening is many people are mixing up activity for productivity. Activity for productivity. What I mean is, activity is a task that has to be done. Productivity is actually digging in and working toward an ultimate objective. And maybe you're doing a task, or maybe you're doing a number of tasks, but you're working towards some objective. So let me give you an example of where I see it happening a lot of the time with many people in like many companies that I've worked with, or people that I know, or organizations that I've been a part of. This is one classic example, but it happens in a lot of different ways. So when I see, for example, someone has to get a hold of someone else, and so they pick up the phone and they make a call, but they get the person's voicemail, and so they cross off their activity and say, "Oh, I left a message for so and so," and then they never touch that task again. And days go by, and weeks go by, and then someone follows up. Well, did we ever hear from that person? Like, no, but I left them a message, but there was no follow up. Versus someone else who really owns that, who's really productive about it. They pick up the phone, they make the call, they have to leave a voicemail, but then they call right back, or they send an email, or they follow up with a text, and then the next day they send another email, and then a text the next day. Hey, I haven't heard from you. I hope everything's okay. And then maybe they call again like 3 or 4 days later. Now, I'm not advocating that that second person should be harassing the person they're trying to call. I'm just trying to highlight the difference between activity and productivity. Activity was doing a task and crossing it off, even though it didn't really achieve the objective. Productivity is instead doing what needs to be done, even if it's multiple tasks, because ultimately you're going toward the objective. Now, I just used one example of someone who picked up the phone and got a voicemail versus someone who hounded someone until they got a reply. But that's just one of many, many ways that you might see this happening. And it could be in your work. It could be in your family life. It could be in your business if you run a business. It could be happening in just about every avenue of life. So there's a huge difference. And if you know someone who's not getting the results that they want in life, one of the reasons could be that they are confusing activity for productivity. Because people say, oh, I'm so busy, I'm doing all these things, I'm not getting results. What they're really doing is just crossing off that activity, that task, rather than working toward an objective. It's a big difference, and yet people often confuse one for the other. So, take a look at your to-do list, your projects, your tasks, your project management system, however you manage projects, and make sure you're building in productivity into the things that you do. And the simplest example is the one I gave. Don't just cross off that, yes, I called and left a message with that person. Make sure that the task is ultimately get a hold of this person and have a conversation. And then maybe you have to have some subtasks under that. Call again, text, email. And of course, that just applies to that one example, but you need to do that for everything in your life. The activity is not just the action. Productivity is about really owning and digging in toward an objective. So again, take a look at your task list, your to-dos, your project list, and make sure that you are working toward objectives with productivity and not just confusing it for activity. All right, that was my productivity strategy for the day. Here at FuDog Group, we help people with things like success and growth and productivity and focus and elevating every area of your life. If you want to have more conversations like that, if you want to grow every area of your life, hit me up by private message and let's have a conversation. We have a bunch of things going on. We have some master classes coming up. We have some resources to send you. We have an event coming up in Connecticut called Seekers of Power that's happening in September. I'm so excited about. And even if none of those things, you're not sure if any of those things can help you, just hit me up by private message. I'd love to have a conversation with you about success, growth, focus, productivity, and how to elevate every area of your life.